All right, let's start things off with some running back talk and a couple of names that we haven't covered a lot on this takeaway show in a while over in New England, where Bill Belichick may be buying into the feed Zeke mantra. We've got Ezekiel Elliott and Rhamondre Stevenson, both had 8 carries each, both just under 25 yards rushing. So, Nate, was the usage really that close between the two this week?
Yeah, they were nearly identical. Something nice about having the bye weeks is when I was writing these recaps, I had a little bit more time to dig into what exactly was going on with Elliott versus Stevenson, since it's been just slight changes each week where Elliott just sees a little bit more and a little bit more work, and this time it was closer to 50%. They've mostly been rotating by drive. So Stevenson would get the first drive, Elliott would get the second drive, and so on. And in previous weeks, and when it was Elliott's drive, Stevenson would often come in on third down or if the drive was dragging on for a bit longer, but that hasn't been happening as much recently. So it would be really Stevenson gets a drive, Elliott gets a drive, Stevenson gets a drive, and so on. And sometimes when that happens, one player has longer drives than others, and in this one, just nothing with the Patriots was working that well. So we saw a pretty even split with Elliott and Stevenson. Like we saw Elliott get the 2 minute drill, but that just happened to be because it was his turn to get the 2 minute drill. Stevenson got short yardage work, but that mostly was because his drives ended up running into some plays where there was short yardage work. So not expecting those two trends necessarily to continue. It'll be interesting to see what the Patriots do in general going forward with how poorly they've lost these past 2 weeks, and won't be surprised to see some pretty significant changes either to offensive philosophy or with the players they're using or what. I would note that Stevenson has graded better than Elliott as a receiver. It's just Elliott has a much higher target rate so far this season at 22% compared to Stevenson at 14%. So they've been throwing the ball to Elliott more. He just hasn't been any more efficient with the ball in his hands. Stevenson has 4 receiving first downs compared to 0 by Elliott. So I'm a little surprised that Elliott is getting more receiving work, even though Stevenson still isn't doing nearly as well as he was last year as a receiver. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly goes on going forward. I'd be a bit more hesitant to start Stevenson. I would be a bit more willing to have Elliott on my roster going forward just because we don't know what will happen, but it wouldn't be surprising to see this trend reverse or them do something significantly different. It's just whatever the Patriots are thinking, but the Patriots offense has to play better in general for us to be able to trust either of them again going forward.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks have not been kind to the New England offense or defense. Really, I think they've been outscored 72-3 or something like that over 2 games. It's been pretty
Mhm.
bad. But I think Bill Belichick even said they're going to start from scratch or something along those lines going forward. So, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a kind of a complete retool here of how this offense is going to operate going forward. But something to monitor there because yeah, Rhamondre Stevenson just has not played up to the I guess the ADP, right? He was basically a top 10 running back almost coming into the year. So something to kind of keep in mind going forward there.